Hello, future biologists. Welcome to an exciting journey into the microscopic world within us. Today, we are diving into histology, a fascinating topic from your Cell, the Unit of Life chapter. We'll explore how tiny cells group together to form tissues, the very fabric of our bodies. Get ready to uncover the secrets of epithelial, connective, muscular, and nervous tissues, starting from the basics and moving all the way to advanced concepts and modern applications. Let's begin. Ready to peek behind the curtain and see how your body's building blocks are arranged? Let's start with the easy stuff. Histology is essentially the study of tissues under a microscope. Imagine your body as a magnificent building. While cells are the individual bricks, tissues are like the walls, floors, and ceilings, groups of similar bricks working together to perform specific jobs. Understanding histology helps us see how these groups are organized and how their structure allows them to function, whether it's protecting your skin or moving your muscles. It's a fundamental way to understand life's architecture. Our bodies are organized in a hierarchy, starting from cells, which group to form tissues. These tissues then combine to create organs like your heart or stomach. Organs work together in organ systems, such as the digestive or circulatory system, ultimately forming a complete organism. There are four main types of animal tissues: epithelial tissue, which covers and lines surfaces; connective tissue, which supports and binds; muscular tissue, responsible for all movement; and nervous tissue, our body's communication network. For instance, your skin is a great example of epithelial tissue, forming a protective barrier. Now, let's check your understanding of the basic concepts we just covered. Take a moment to answer these three questions. What is histology in your own words? Can you list the four main types of animal tissues? And finally, give one example of a connective tissue and state its primary function. Think about what we've discussed and try to recall the key definitions and examples. Good luck! Alright, great job with the basics. Now, let's deepen our understanding and explore these tissues in a bit more detail. Studying tissues is super important because they are the crucial link between individual cells and complex organs. Each tissue type has a unique structure, perfectly designed to perform its specific role. This specialization ensures that our body functions efficiently and seamlessly. For example, the tightly packed cells of epithelial tissue are ideal for protection, while the elongated cells of muscle tissue are perfect for contraction and movement. It's all about how form meets function. Let's look closer at epithelial tissue, which forms coverings and linings throughout your body. Its cells are tightly packed, forming continuous sheets, and always have a free surface and a basement membrane. They protect, secrete, absorb, and filter. Based on cell shape, we have flat squamous cells, cube-shaped cuboidal cells, and tall columnar cells. Each shape is suited for different tasks, like the flat squamous cells in blood vessel linings for efficient diffusion, or columnar cells in the intestines for absorption. They can also be simple, meaning a single layer, or stratified, with multiple layers. Next, connective tissue, known for support and connection. Unlike epithelial tissue, its cells are spread out within an extracellular matrix made of ground substance and protein fibers like collagen for strength and elastic fibers for flexibility. It binds, supports, protects, and transports. Examples include strong bones, flexible cartilage, and even blood, which transports substances. Muscular tissue consists of contractile fibers for movement, categorized into voluntary skeletal muscle, involuntary smooth muscle in organs, and involuntary cardiac muscle in the heart. Lastly, nervous tissue, with its neurons and supporting neuroglia, forms our body's communication network, transmitting electrical signals for control and coordination. Time to test your knowledge on the medium-level content. Describe two key characteristics of epithelial tissue. Can you name the three types of epithelial tissue based on cell shape and provide one location for each? What's the main difference in cell arrangement between epithelial and connective tissues? Distinguish between skeletal and smooth muscle based on control and location. And finally, explain the primary function of nervous tissue. Take your time to formulate your answers. Excellent! You're building a strong foundation. Now, let's elevate our understanding with some harder concepts and deeper analysis. The specialization of tissues is a marvel of evolution. It allowed multicellular organisms to become incredibly complex and efficient. Think about how the stomach works. Epithelial tissue lines it, connective tissue supports it, muscular tissue churns food, and nervous tissue controls it all. This interdependence is key to complex physiological processes. Epithelial tissues, for instance, aren't just one type. Simple epithelia, with a single cell layer, are great for diffusion, like in your lungs. Stratified epithelia, with multiple layers, offer robust protection, such as your skin. We also have specialized forms like pseudostratified columnar in the respiratory tract and transitional epithelium in the bladder, which can stretch and change shape. Connective tissue is far more diverse than just support. It's made of cells, like fibroblasts, and a rich extracellular matrix with protein fibers such as collagen for strength and elastic fibers for flexibility, all suspended in a gel-like ground substance. Loose connective tissues, like areolar tissue, offer flexible support, while dense connective tissues, found in tendons and ligaments, provide immense strength. Then there are specialized forms like cartilage for flexible support, bone for rigid structure, and blood for transport. Muscular tissues also vary significantly. Skeletal muscle is voluntary and striated for strong movements, smooth muscle is involuntary and unstriated for organ functions, and cardiac muscle, found only in the heart, is involuntary, striated, and uniquely branched with intercalated discs for synchronized pumping. Nervous tissue, the body's communication hub, is built from neurons, which transmit electrical impulses, and neuroglia, which support and protect these neurons. Neurons have a cell body, dendrites to receive signals, and an axon to send them. Communication happens at specialized junctions called synapses. When tissues get damaged, the body tries to repair them. This can happen through regeneration, where the damaged tissue is replaced by the same type, restoring full function. Or, it can be through fibrosis, where dense connective tissue forms scar tissue, which might not fully restore the original function. The capacity for regeneration varies greatly among different tissue types, with epithelial tissue regenerating well, but nervous tissue having limited repair capabilities. You've tackled some complex ideas. Now, let's test your grasp of these harder concepts. Differentiate between simple squamous and stratified squamous epithelium, providing an example for each. Explain the role of the extracellular matrix in connective tissue. Compare the three types of muscular tissue based on structure, control, and striations. Describe the main parts of a neuron and their functions. How do pseudostratified columnar and simple columnar epithelia differ in appearance and function? What's the significance of intercalated discs in cardiac muscle? And finally, explain the difference between regeneration and fibrosis, with an example for each. Take your time to construct thorough answers. You've mastered the intricacies of histology. Now, for the ultimate challenge. We are going to push beyond the textbook, exploring the cutting-edge and real-world impact of this incredible field. The journey of histology began long ago. While Marcello Malpighi, in the 17th century, pioneered microscopic observations of tissues, it was Marie-Francoise Xavier Bichat in the early 1800s who first coined the term histology and truly established the concept of tissues as distinct entities. His foundational work emphasized that organs are composed of different tissues, each with its own properties. The core principle established then, and still valid today, is that a tissue's microscopic structure is intricately linked to its function. You cannot understand one without the other. This structure-function relationship is the bedrock of all biological understanding. Modern histology relies on sophisticated techniques to visualize tissues. The first step is fixation, often using formaldehyde to preserve the tissue and prevent decay. Then, the tissue is dehydrated, cleared, and embedded in paraffin wax, which provides support for ultra-thin sectioning using a microtome. These thin slices, typically just micrometers thick, are then mounted on slides. Staining is crucial. The common H&E stain uses hematoxylin to color nuclei blue and eosin for cytoplasm and matrixin pink. But beyond H&E, special stains target specific components, and immunohistochemistry uses antibodies to pinpoint exact proteins, revolutionizing disease diagnosis. These precise methods allow us to see the minute details that reveal health or disease. Histology isn't just about diagnosis, it's also about building. Tissue engineering combines cells, engineering principles, and biomaterials to create functional tissues. Imagine growing new skin for burn victims or developing cartilage for joint repair. This field often uses stem cells and growth factors on supportive scaffolds to guide tissue formation. Then there's pathological histology, where pathologists analyze biopsies to diagnose diseases like cancer, determining its type, grade, and stage, which is vital for treatment planning. Comparative histology offers evolutionary insights by examining tissue differences across species, revealing how adaptations like bone density in aquatic animals or specialized digestive linings evolved. It's a vast and impactful field. Looking ahead, molecular histology is at the forefront, merging traditional tissue analysis with molecular biology. Techniques like in situ hybridization and immunofluorescence allow us to visualize gene expression and protein distribution directly within tissue sections, providing a molecular map of cellular activity. Emerging technologies like spatial transcriptomics can map all active genes in a tissue, revealing complex cellular interactions in their native context. This era of digital histology, powered by AI for automated analysis, is transforming pathology, making diagnosis faster and more accurate. Ultimately, histology is a cornerstone of personalized medicine, tailoring treatments based on an individual's unique tissue and disease profile, promising a future of more precise and effective healthcare. All right, it's time for the ultimate test of your histological knowledge. For questions 1 to 5, think deeply about the historical context, the technical processes, and the diagnostic applications we've covered. Discuss the contributions of Malpighi and Bichat. Outline the entire tissue preparation process for H&E staining. Explain the principle of immunohistochemistry and its diagnostic use. What are the three main components of tissue engineering, and can you give an application? And finally, how does pathological histology contribute to cancer diagnosis and management? Take your time, these questions require comprehensive answers. Let's continue with the remaining questions, 6 through 10, pushing your understanding even further. How can comparative histology provide insights into evolutionary adaptations? With an example, differentiate the functions of fibroblasts, macrophages, and mast cells in connective tissue. Describe the structure and function of intercalated discs in cardiac muscle and their importance. What is the significance of the basement membrane in epithelial tissue, and what are its main components? And finally, explain molecular histology and how spatial transcriptomics could advance our understanding of tissue function. These questions will really challenge your grasp of the topic. Good luck! And that brings us to the end of our incredibly detailed exploration of histology, the fascinating study of tissues. From the basic definitions to advanced techniques and their impact on medicine and research, you've gained a comprehensive understanding of how the microscopic world shapes a macroscopic existence. We hope you found this journey as intriguing as we did. For more such in-depth educational content and to continue your learning adventure, visit synapse.omaps.in. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for regular updates and more engaging lessons. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep being curious about the world around you.